Howdy everyone, my name is Naglam, and today I'll be sharing insights from 3 fascinating readings and how we experience them in different ways. So, what makes a city more than just building, road, and business? How do cities shape our human life, and how are they affected by climate change? So today we explored 3 key perspectives on cities, their function, and their future. A city is often defined by its population size, economic activities, and infrastructure. In defining cities and urban center from introducing human geography, I learned that cities form through agglomeration where business and people cluster together, creating economic opportunity, but also challenge congestions and inequality. Urbanization has evolved over time due to technological, economics, and political factors shaping the different types of cities worldwide. But cities aren't just about economic functions. What is a city? Lewis Mumford argues that cities are primarily just social and cultural spaces. He critiques that modern urbanization prioritizes industry and efficiency over human relationships and creativity and civic life. Mumford warns that cities should not just be a machine for living. They should enhance human development and social well-being. In modern cities, also face new environment challenges like the IPCC 6 assessment report in 2022 highlights the climate change impacting urban areas, along with heat waves, flooding, and water shortage and growing concerns. To adapt, the city must invest in sustainable urban planning, green infrastructure, and climate resilient strategies, especially for those with smaller populations, smaller areas. As we think about the future of the city, we must balance the economic development, social needs, and the climate adaptation. How do you think the city should evolve? The insights from Mumford, What is a City, and the IPCC Climate Change Report involves challenging and urbanization. Understanding these factors will help us rethink how the cities can become more livable and sustainable. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rueda Flores, and I am here first talking about Urbanism as a Way of Life by Lewis Worf. And here we can see that he's examining Chicago and using it to find a sociological definition for urban life, where he points out 3 key features of population size, social heterogeneity, and population density. And one of the big takeaways I got from this is that he views cities very negatively, seeing as how populations, because there's so many people, it causes superficiality and using other people to get yourself ahead, kind of social heterogeneity, where it creates so many interactions, create kind of insecurity and instability, and how the population density creates a lot of diversity and high numbers because there's so many people in one place, and it kind of highlights a lot of the bad things that come from urbanism, and another key example is Man with a Movie Camera from 1929 highlights many features of cities, both good and bad. And so one of the key things what you see is like many homeless people, not a lot of people smiling, a lot of factory working, and it's just videos of generally a lot of aspects of cities, like people sleeping, or homeless people, and it just highlights how large and complex and how insignificant some people might see themselves. Um, and when I searched up a third source is how can we make a perfect city featuring real engineering, and in this video we can see how creating a utopian society with water, moderate weather, good transportation, no cars and only a subway, using only subways, renewable energy for pollution, and government buildings for cheap housing, how we can make a better society um, with less pollution, greenery, and kind of just a better city away from all these negativities. Thank you.
My name is Dorian McLennan, and I read 2 really interesting articles about cities and how we experience them, as well as a TED Talk that I found was related. The first was The City Image and Its Elements by Kevin Lynch. It talks about how people experience cities using 5 things: paths, edges, districts, nodes, and landmarks. One woman from Jersey City described in the article said, "You cross Baldwin Avenue, you see all of New York in front of you. I always look to the right to see if you can see the Statue of Liberty. Then I look up to see the Empire State Building. I have a real feeling of happiness because I'm going someplace." This shows how the things we see in a city can help us feel connected and find our way. And the second article UN Habitat by Eduardo Lopez Moreno, Oyabenji Oyayinka, and Gloria Mboop talks about how cities can be great places for growth, but they also have big problems like inequality of money. That means that some people in cities have way more money than others, simply put, which creates a big gap. This even happens in rich countries like our own. Cities can have huge differences between the rich and the poor. The TED Talk, How We Can Design Timeless Cities for Our Collective Future by Vishaan Chakrabarti, talks about why cities now are not as good as they used to be, with the mass production of materials led to the mass production of cities and their buildings. Building codes must now fit things like fire trucks that didn't fit before, and it makes things a lot more difficult and rigid when it comes to building a city. I found those all to be very interesting, and that's my finding. My name is
Hello, my name is Caleb Thompson. I am from the Reflection Group 5, and what I'll be covering in terms of the reading is the City 1939 documentary and the How Our Cities Organized. Hello, my name is Caleb Thompson. I am from the Reflection Group 5, and what I'll be covering in terms of the reading is the City 1939 documentary and the How Our Cities Organized Crash Course Geography number 46, and an additional outside source from timesmaps.com titled Cities and the Emergence of Civilizations. So first off, from the crash course, How Our Cities Organized, what this is basically just summarizing is the importance of being able to identify schemes and patterns within certain areas of cities and how that can directly correlate to modern life and society as a whole, and how just by looking at a certain area you can tell what kind of people live here or not. And in terms of the City 1939 documentary, it was very interesting and showed a sharp comparison to both the positive and negative aspects of what may dwell in the city. Whereas on one hand, there is the thriving people, very wealthy, and on the other hand, there are people who are on a day-to-day basis struggling. So there's a antithesis of a spectrum there. And for my outside source on timesmaps.com, City and the Emergence of Civilizations, it really was just emphasizing and supporting the two videos that I watched for my research, and just highlighting the importance that people have in a city and in a society, and the direct correlation and impact that they have to the economy, centers of trade, and even culture of the city. Thank you.